Welcome to hole number one of the Asia Champions Tournament. Now, setting up here, kind of near this funny little bunker, and I think an extra mile here with the power 3 ball is going to put you in a really good position here with this kind of tailwind. That's why I'm hesitant, and I need you to just be aware that if you've got a really big headwind on this hole, you should probably play more safe over to the left-hand side. This is a bit of aggressive play, but one that's important when you have the kind of wind to go with it. Giving it 4.5 top, 2 right, pushed it to max, about 3 or 4 rings of overpower here. And like, as you can see, about 3/4 of a ball of right curl. Now, this is going to put us in a very nice position. And, you know, whenever I can do so with the reasonable ball and club selections, I want to try to give myself the best chance to win. That's the whole point of the video, to give you the best tips, the best possible path that you can get down there and get yourself some drops. So second shot here, very, very close there to playing a max Endbringer. And these days, I probably would have chosen that. However, playing this one very close to minimum distance, giving it a couple of bars of backspin here, and I'm going to play this Thorn level 4 with 10% minimum adjustment. And I like here that I did choose to play it on the green. You definitely could bounce it on the grass in front or the fringe, but you can see it's quite a big slope. And not always, but in this case, the green seems to be a pretty decently consistent landing position. So check your bounces. Make sure, you know, you have a nice stable position to land so that you get a nice consistent and stable outcome. Looking for booms here on hole number 1. Good luck, and we'll see you on the next one here. All right, so hole number 2 with the tailwind, I would play this one with something like a navigator ball and a Goliath. You really only need about 2 bars of top spin, 1 bar of left spin here, so you could pretty much use any long iron with a similar setup here. I'm kind of playing on this little saddle, you know, this little kind of ridge here in the fairway. I'm not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing to do, but I did find that this has been a little decently consistent-ish spot to play. I mean, I'm saying this because this par 3 is very, very difficult. As you can see, it is incredibly bumpy, undulous, with no real flat landing position. So this one comes in at a nice speed, gets a good line at the hole. I think this is a possibility. Now I'm going to show you how I would play here in a headwind. All right, so hole number 2, if you've got a good amount of headwind here, play with the Guardian, Quasar ball, 7.5 back, 2 bars of right spin. And you'll see I'm kind of playing it with the second bounce right to the pin and kind of landing in this little bowl. I don't know how I feel about this, especially in, you know, in other wind conditions. But with this amount of backspin, as long as you don't land on sort of the part of the bowl closest to the hole, this one's going to come in pretty safely, you know, all the time. So hits in there nicely, checks up, very, very close. Gives you at least a very safe way to get it down there. Okay, so hole number 3, this one I play with an extra mile and a Titan. Going to go 4.5 top, 2 bars of right spin. Now, I think I should actually only use about 1 bar of right spin here. And you're going to notice how much outer wall left curl I use. I think you should use a little bit more, maybe half a ball. So stretching it out, getting an idea where we want to be at max overpower here. Got to grip it, rip it, hit perfect. Like I said, at least outer wall left curl, maybe half a ball of left curl here, depending on the wind conditions. This one gets down there powerfully, very close to the rough, though. This is what I was alluding to, so keep that in mind. But if you've got tailwind here, you really want to push this one, because second shot now gives us a long iron in for Albie, which, I mean, I'll take my chances on. Now, this is not the most consistent spot to play from, but it will definitely give you an edge up over many, many other players in your bracket. It just depends, you know, on the level of your account and where you're at. So set this one up here with about 2 bars of backspin. It really does depend so very much. You don't want to compress your ball guide too much. It is certainly possible to play with like a Grizzly or B52 or something and then have a little bit of topspin and kind of run it up there, you know, but it all depends. Play the way you want to play. I shot this one 30% mid distance, comes in just a tiny bit too little, but very good chance here. Okay, so hole number 4, I'm going to show you a little bit of a conservative play here first of all. 4.5 top, 1 left, extra mile and a Titan. And I'm stretching this out here just to see where I would land with max overpower, but we're not going to max overpower this shot. because, you know, there's 2.2 wind. I know there's a good bit of room past that, so I will apply a little bit of overpower here. We do our adjustment, and we push to max here, which I don't do as often these days. I didn't understand back then how it would slow the needle, but this is not a problem if we're not max overpowering. Circle drop OP there, just enough to give it a little bit more, but intentionally. See how much room there is with fairway? We're still going to hit this rough, which is absolutely part of the plan, and roll out into this dark shadow. The second play here with my favorite short iron, the Thorn. Now, in this situation, I believe I'm only giving it 1 bar of backspin, because when you're landing on like an upward slope and you give it more backspin, it tends to make that ball guide really difficult to work with. It kind of condenses it or compresses it a fair amount. So yeah, 1 bar of backspin here. Line this one up directly at the pin, and I'm going to be playing this shot 0% mid distance. In a strong crosswind here, the shot can often play at 10%, so keep that in mind. Yeah, just a clean little pull here, 0% mid. Line it up nice and pure. Do indeed hit perfect, and I think we're going to have some crazy low scores on this tournament. And now I'm going to show you the send it here on hole number 4 next. Okay, so hole number 4, this time we're going to grip it and rip it. Now, you'll notice I don't even have a pure tailwind here. We're still working with a crosswind. This will be just fine. 4.5 top, 1 bar of left spin. I'm just trying to get the second bounce to land on the second fairway so that we get a much longer rollout than if you're clipping the rough. Now, as you saw before, we of course can clip that rough. It's not a problem, but if you don't have to, you're going to see how much better, well, at least how much easier your second shot can be. I do push this one to max, just a couple of clicks there, and we're going to give this like a pretty big circle break overpower. I would call this in my mind like about 50%, but you just kind of have to play around with it just to kind of get the feel. But as you can see, we're hitting there, now rolling way further up here. Anywhere crosswind or tailwind, I strongly recommend you play it this way. Second shot then, much closer, gives us a nice wedge play here. Now, in this example, 20% max is what I'm playing, but we've got the Firefly. I'm not really going to recommend you play with the Firefly, but if that's the best like wedge club that you have, then absolutely do so. I've used the Firefly for quite a while from the front tee and had a lot of success with it. So you just, it just depends on how you handle the clubs. It doesn't necessarily matter always and forever exactly which one, especially when you're doing a nice little close shot like this. So just make your adjustment. 20 max. You do use the Endbringer school method, but this one should give you another beautiful look at an eagle because we need to get this drop on hole 4. Hole number 5, I think this par 3 is a really good chance for a drop. I got the backbone and a navigator ball, and we're just going to set this one up at the top of the red ring, at the top of this rough here, lined up directly at the hole with about 0.5 bars of topspin. Sometimes a tiny bit less, sometimes a little bit more, but that's just generally the sort of shot setup that we're going to play here. So like I said, 10% mid. This is a really, really good hole location on this hole. This is the kind of shot where I really missed, that they took away and gave us a new hole location for. I think this is a far superior, more fun, and a better chance to get a drop. Once again, another very, very makeable hole here on the Asia Champions Tournament. Getting the hole a little hot, but I'll take it. I absolutely love the albatross chance we have here on hole number 6. No, we're not using that fancy ball. It's not that fancy, actually, but we're just going to play here with the Titan. Extra mile, 4.5 top, 2 bars of left spin. And this one, we're just going to set it up and give it like, I don't know, again, like several clicks of overpower and just about half a ball of left curl. I guess that would be like outer wall left curl. And like circle break overpower plus like 5 or 6 clicks, something like that. It's not about massive distance on this shot because we're looking to play a nice little spot here with the sniper. Second shot with the sniper, we're going to play this anywhere from like 4 to 6 bars of backspin, especially nice in this position because I am kind of at the min line and we've got that cross headwind coming in. So I set it up with that ball guide really, really kind of through the hole, but then it's like, wait a minute, I remember that in front of the hole, it's a nicer landing position. So I've got that red ring kind of just touching the fringe, about 4 bars of backspin, I believe, here in this position. And, normally you'd want to have the ball guide through the pin a decent amount in a headwind, but the way this shot plays, this one kind of comes in pretty darn well. So make that 10% mid adjustment. That's about like that. Line it up, knock it down. You know the plan here. Oh, yeah. Don't hit great, okay? Just, do you mind just not hitting great? But, I mean, sometimes it's okay. It's conflicting. I know it's confusing, but we'll figure it out, baby. Let's go to hole 7. Well, number 7, we really just need to kind of have an accurate drive here. Not too much about distance. Going to give it about 2.5 top, 2.8 top, 2 right, and then just move it about 2 rings to the right of where the no move landing position would be with the quarterback 6. Keep that in mind, because if you have a QB 10, you'd have to pull it back to find the same landing position. Set it up 10% max or 1-to-1, you know, in rookie with the quarterback is perfectly fine. And I'm giving this like almost max over power and like 1 full ball of right curl here. Perfect way. This one is going to put you in a pretty darn nice position to get yourself a drop here. It's going to be a crazy tournament. These holes have been around for a while. It's very, very doable, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Second shot, we're going to give it negative 10% elevation. 10% mid, that is. Max backspin, that's very, very important. And you're going to line up to give this one a dunk. You can play it a few different ways. You can kind of bounce it up with a bar or 2 of topspin and a bar or 2 of left spin. But this guy's laughing. Daryl, you laugh it up, buddy. You wait and see how this one will turn out. That's right, we'll shut you up. There's the one way to shut him up, and you know how it is. It's not that little button. It's to get it in the hole. So make your adjustment here. Do use the slider. Figure out where you're at as best as you possibly can. And then just go ahead and hit perfect. You kind of want to aim for the back of the hole and get in the hole. That's how you do it. We'll see you on number 8. All right, hole 8, easily the hardest hole of this tournament. Bring a Kingmaker. Keep the wind effect as low as possible on this difficult hole. About 3.5 top, 1 bar of left spin, and you can see where we're lining up here. Take a look carefully at the second bounce. Look at the third bounce. Get an idea of how I've got this one lined up in this wind. If you have to pull down into the bunker for this shot because of the wind, you're going to have to change the adjustment. Keep that in mind. Or if you've got any real different wind. But generally speaking, this is a viable path on an otherwise very, very difficult hole. Don't waste your practice tokens too much. Don't go crazy over it. Take your birdie and run. But sometimes, just sometimes, you can get this one to go real hot. Pole whacking. Let's go. Hole number 9, like from the front tee, this is an especially difficult hole. If you've got even lower level clubs, feel free to bring a power 5 ball here. You're gonna need it. Big topper and a Titan, max top spin here. I don't think, yeah, about 1 bar of right spin just to kind of get it down there. We're gonna push to max overpower. I hate max overpowering a big topper, but the massive size of this fairway, you're generally going to be, you know, in a pretty safe position as long as you set it up kind of right down the middle. That bunker's in play. You know, there's certainly some hazard there. But as you can see, there's still a massive distance to go. You can certainly bring a big a big dog for the second shot, but the horizon with its topspin in this kind of wind does work decently well. I am only using 4.5 top, 2 right spin, but actually it was the ball guide here that was a big consideration for me because now I can estimate quite clearly just when that third bounce or so is on the green. I'm really just trying to get this one to the green, get the eagle, and get out of here. I predict many, many, many players in the rookie brackets will be getting a birdie or worse on this hole. I do not want that to be you. Get a clean 2 on your card. There's tons of other drop opportunities on the previous 8 holes. Take a look at this. Gives you a clean little eagle. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you so very much. Good luck in the Asia Champions Tournament, and I know you can make that putt.